G'day guys, this is Amazathar and welcome to the next episode in my Chisel and Bits tutorial series. Last episode we looked at the chisels, the diamond bit saw and the bit bag. This episode we're going to look at the wrench, the bit tank and the tape measure. So let's get it going. So as I said last time, there's not much to this mod as far as items go. Most of the items are actually the bits, but the ones specifically are this. So we looked at the 4 chisels, the bit bag, and the diamond saw. We're going to look at the other few items in this mod. Okay, so first we have the wrench, right? We'll grab a wrench, and we'll see what that is useful for. Very cheap. Next we have the bit tank, right? So we'll just deal with these 2 items right now. Take a number of these buckets here. Now not all of these buckets are usually available in game. At the moment I'm doing this in the Simple Life 1 pack just so I have more access to liquids. So let's lay down a number of these. Just to show you how you can actually use different types of fluid. And even... Oh, no, that one doesn't actually work. I'm not sure if that would work or not. Alright. So we have 6 tanks here. Oh, that's a really weird rendering of that milk. Oh, they all like that. Lava in the water. Okay, so we'll get on to the chisel designs in a minute. So we'll come back to the wrench once we've actually built some stuff. So the ability of these bit tanks is that you put fluid in here and then you can pull it out and you can work with it. So for instance, you right click, you get 64 bits worth of water. Now you can do all the same things that we did before. Right, I only pulled out 64 bits, so that's all that makes. Right. So let me just take that and let's pull out. Just keep pulling out all of it. So you just have to keep right clicking. There's no fast way to get it out. Right, now most of it's gone into my bit bag. Right, so here. So we can do most things that you can do with the other bits. The only difference is that it's fluid. Now every fluid that you work with will register like water. Alright, so let's take the lava out. You can't shift click to take all of it. Okay. We have lava here. If we place one of that, we can place right next to it. It doesn't make obsidian, but it acts like water just the same. Alright. That's one way to put lava next to... Now if I was to do this, let's do this. If I was to complete this, this will turn into water. Right? And that will turn to lava. And then one of them would turn to a stone or obsidian. Right? So, let me just go into game mode for a second and do exactly that. Let me find where the blocks are. So if I turn that into water, it just turns to water. It doesn't actually, unlike other water sources, it won't flow until there's a block update. Right. So if I, for instance, grab a torch. Oh, actually no, even if I just put like another bit down somewhere. So there's this block update. And I can't now turn that back into bits. That is fluid as far as right. So as soon as you turn it into an actual fluid, it's fluid. You're not going to turn it back into bits. There's no way to click through it, right? And as I said, if I make this into lava, it's going to turn obsidian, right? So that's one thing to keep notice when you're chiseling fluids, is that you could, you can fill it up pretty much all the way, but as soon as you do that, so you can undo from that fluid state, and then I could, move to normal one yet again, and then right up to here, and it will remain chisel block. But as soon as I put that bit in there, bang, it's fluid. Right. One of the things you could do thus is, as I said, thus, and you can't actually, as you saw, I tried to pick that up. So if I try to move this, I can't move that. Right. So that's one problem with fluiding. With chiseling fluids is you need to actually put it where you want to put it. Now, if I had something in here, so here's a little trick if you want to move fluids in a block. If I put a solid pixel in this block, let me just go back to normal game mode. Right. So if I try to pick this up, it's hitting the grass beneath it. But if I put one single bit in here, I can pick up that entire block. Right. So there's a trick if you're using fluids. Whatever you're doing with the fluid, you're best to, even if it's only temporarily, is just add a single block somewhere, right? And then you can use your pickaxe or whatever to pick up that block. That's my suggestion of working with fluids. Okay, of course you can add it to any chisel object. Okay, so working with fluids is much the same as working with any chisel thing. Let's say we'll make a flower pot. Diamond flower pot. Right, I've got one more. It's going to be, oops. And then say I want to put water in there. I can actually use this because it's within a half. Right, and then if I want to make it a tiny little fountain, I will say working with fluids is harder because it's a little bit harder to judge where you're putting things. Okay, I don't want to really be building too much stuff now. We'll get a lot more into this later, but just as an example of what you can do with fluids, I wanted to build this little fountain. Okay, so there we go. We have a little fountain. You can jump on top of it. Go on, you bounce. All right, but you know, because this is I'll use the bit tank as example, because this is within a block, right? Then I can pick up and I can move it. And I can do whatever I want with it. I want to put on this chest. Also got that here. So anyway, that's chiseling fluids. It works, as I say, it works much the same as chiseling objects, but you're working with fluids. You can use it inside. I've done fountains with it. I'll try and put a screenshot on here of a fountain that I did for an earlier Simple Life 2 server. So this was all chiseled from the ground up. I basically did the white marble outside, and then I filled it with fluid, and then I did the fluid flowing down. Right, so that is fluid. You can put them. You right click. You can put fluid back. I think. Problem is, it won't include what's in your bit bag. Right, if I keep right clicking, it's not going in here. I would literally have to take all of this out again. And that's the problem with having auto refill on. It finds the nearest. There we go. Again, it hasn't included this, only what's in my inventory. Alright, so you can put bits back into these tanks with a shift right click, not with a normal right click. Alright, so normal right click takes it out, shift right click puts it back in. That's why you can't take with a shift right click. Put it back in. Now, we can do. So you'll see with some of these, just to show you that some of these, like the liquid XP, if it doesn't go on the tank, it won't work. This is supposed to be molten menulin, but you know, it's about as hot as water is right now. Oh, yeah, that's not right. So we'll in. Alright, so 8 right clicks is a full quarter. Now, the question is, what can this be useful for? If it's a chiseling fluids, and I want to tackle this more when I'm building stuff, but for an example, let's take coal. Got a coal block. Now, this sort of work will be much more difficult because things like a coal block, working with this dark color is a little bit harder to see. Oh. Back in there. let's do all the this first. Get a sync. A lot of this sort of work takes patience, and you've got to see where gaps are sometimes. Extra material. Wait, I did that wrong because I actually clicked against the side of this. Where I actually want to be clicking on the bottom of that. Right, so that's a cool looking block. Say you had it sideways. Now, this is where we get into wrench. You click with a wrench, you can rotate in any direction. Right, click on this side, it goes around that axis. So it's top, left, bottom, so it'd be under there right now, and then right. Right, now if I want to move it this way, I click on this axis. Right now it doesn't look anything because it's actually rotating this axis. So if I do it like this, now it rotates that. That is what the wrench is good for. It's good for if you want something to be, so for instance, I want to create my lava stairs. You know, I think they look cool, but I want something that, you know, oh, hang on, that's right. You can't affect fluid without something solid. Right, now it doesn't have to be that big. That's oh, but only affects that because what I've done is this is the actual block here. That is actually not within the block. So let's undo. Oh. Now let me flip that back in place. Right, and we will take this, take those off, and we'll build our stairs like that. Now, let's move this to here. Oh, one there and one there. Now, if I wanted to rotate that, now I can rotate it upside down. But again, I've actually done this outside the block. So let's take all of that. This is where it's so important to make sure, and this is why I was doing this before, see the block that I'm working in. Right, if you use anything, not a chisel or a bit, you should be able to see the block outline. That will make sure you don't make the same mistake I just made twice. Right, but I actually made it so that you can see that example. Now, okay, so the wrench cannot by itself rotate fluids. So you'll always have to add a solid block in there if you want to do that. Right. Now, click on the side here, it rotates this axis. Again, if I click on the top, it rotates that axis. And so effectively there are only three axes, so let's put it on the side now, and now I can rotate it this way. Right, so there's always a Z, X, Y or axis that you can rotate on. So let's put it back to, so for instance here, how do we rotate this downwards? We rotated it downwards, but there we go. That puts it back to where we want it. Okay, so let's move on. Get rid of those. Let's grab some water. Okay, so there's our 6 fluids. You can chisel them, you can put them in blocks like this. So let's do a little bit more playing, just for now. And we can use on region. Oh, I went a little far. Okay, we block. No, that's not the block. Okay. And oh no, that's wrong. I have to remember there's actually a gap in there. I need to start on the 3rd block. Oh, right. Oh, I've done wide. So you gotta be careful. Go down to wide again. So there we go. And then we put it on connected material. Click on the bottom, not on the sides. Apparently I didn't do this one right because it's too. Okay, so I must have gone down too far. That's okay. Connected material. There we go. Okay, so that looks cool. Let's grab ourselves material. There we go. That's all fluid, but it is all within block. So you can make entire blocks of this if you want to make, you know, something that has a bit of animation to it. Right, so you can still see the lava, the water, you can see all that move. That's within the solid block. Right, and you know, you can place the blocks next to it because it's buried in that block. Right, so there we go. That is fluid chiseling. Again, remember that if you want to move fluid by itself without it doesn't have any solid blocks, place a solid bit, move it, remove the solid bit. Okay, let's move on to these back. That's all the fluid bits I have. Yeah, let's move on to chisel designs. Okay, so well, actually, now we'll move on to the tape measure. Okay, so this is the tape measure. Effectively, the whole purpose of the tape measure is to measure blocks. Right, so right click here, right click there. Oops, I think I'm supposed to. Drag it. Right, so that is 1 meter or 16 blocks. So you can measure it. Then you can. I think you can. If right click it, measures it in bits. No. I'll right click to drag measure, use left arm. So we need to use this. Okay, so distance, bits, block. And let's put on bits. Oh, okay, so it's always going to be measured in meter. Okay, so I said personally I've never used this thing before, but so this can measure blocks, full micro blocks, right? So that can be helpful for doing normal Minecraft stuff. It can that so it can measure distance in blocks. That's basically 10 meters and 5 bits. Right, so I go from here. That's 3 blocks, 3 blocks. So you get the idea. And then if I go into bits, it's actually working within the bit scale itself. So the other two modes are for working in large scale. But this one is, so I can start here and move up here, and it's actually telling me it's 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter. Or I can do here, and it's going to tell me this is 1 meter, this is 2 bits high, and this is 14 bits long. Alright, shift right. So if you want to do bigger jobs, or you want to use it for building aspects, you can use the block thing. Right, I put down a timber thing here, like I put down an oak wall here, and then I want a wall. So this wall is 9 blocks long, and then I can put another one here. That means that I can also measure this one till it's 9, and that means that put right. So you can put down multiple measurements. And if you're building a 9 by 9, so you're building a dyewood structure. Oh, well, actually, it wouldn't be a dyewood structure, would it? It's not a 9 by 9. It would have to be. Have to be 7 by 7. 7 by 7. And then the corners. That would be a dyewood structure. 9 by 9 inside. I'm not entirely sure. But you get the idea. The tape measure is useful for Minecraft and for not really sure of any other uses I can explain for that. Okay guys, well that will wrap up for this episode. Next episode we're going to be looking at the chisel designs, the positive, negative and mirror. So join me there for looking at those, and we'll figure out how to use them. So, hooroo, have an awesome day. See you next episode. Bye now.